Episode 4 of the Hishtadlus show coming at you. Thank you all those who joined. This week's episode is sponsored by Dead Drop. Try out the rum, it's pretty good. This week, we want to talk a little bit about what gets in our way. So business owners and people who are trying to establish themselves as a business, they know what they're supposed to do. They have a vision, they have a plan. But the problem is that they don't follow the plan. They don't execute on it. The reason, we don't know. What's the reason? Today, we have Moshe. Moshe is going to tell us a little bit about what he believes is the reason why we get in our own way, why we don't execute on our visions, even though we all know that we're supposed to follow the plan and we know what we're supposed to do. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on it and where you've come to learn about this and why you think it happens. And maybe, just maybe, you can tell us a little bit of an insight of how to get over it.
Yeah, for me, it was funny when I realized this question, and I realized there's like one word answer: ego, straight up. Like everything that ego can't hear. I'm sitting in front of a camera and I'm expecting people to watch me and hear me talk. That's not necessarily the ego that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the other side of the ego of the insecurities and the fears of the things that tell you, oh, I have to be in control. The idea that you believe, or I believe, or people believe that they are in control of things. That's the part that gets tricky, because when you don't hit that initial success right away, and when you don't have that instant gratification, like the words that my Rebbeim always used to give me Musar Shmuzin about, when you don't have the instant gratification, it immediately triggers your ego, my ego. And we think, oh, we're supposed to be in control. And like, even as I've grown, I remember, negotiating with God in my head about like, okay, Hashem, you're fine. You're in charge of all of this, but like this part I'm in charge of. And then like that would blow up. And then like a week later I'd be like, okay, you can be in charge of that also. But like, leave me this to be in control of. And like, that's really the ego talking. It's like, no, we're not in control of any of it.
We like to think we're in control.
Exactly.
Because it gives us a little bit more stability in our life. I mean, if we all release ourselves to whatever comes at us and we just roll with the punches and we don't plan and we don't figure out what's going to be if this and that and the other, then what? And then I think a lot of people's anxiety comes from that, right? Like the idea of having to have it all together and put on the show of that. I think a lot of people are just stuck in that anxiety world of trying to control as much as they can, and then when it fails, having to face that.
Yeah, I think any insecurity, I mean, we can go into this deeper, hopefully we will in a future episode, but I think any insecurity, fear, anxiety, all of these ideas are all of these emotions and feelings are all ego-based. And the goal really as human beings, and as from human beings, should really be to remove as much of the ego as possible. And all of that means removing fears, removing insecurities, removing anxieties.
So what you're really saying is that we're our own worst enemy. Because of our ego, we get in our own way and we believe that we should be able to control more. So that somehow stops us from taking the next step. So I guess that we have to really delve into that a little bit more. Why is that? Like or how do we get over that? And I think the answer really lies in self-awareness. If you understand where the thoughts are coming from and where those emotions are coming from and where that, for some reason, you can't like get over the hump, and you keep telling yourself, when that happens, then I'll be able to start. Or yeah, we'll do that. You keep kicking the ball down the line, waiting for that eventual time where you're going to go ahead and follow what it says. You have to become self-aware enough to recognize and be humble enough to recognize that we're not in control and that we don't really have all the answers. And it's never going to hit the time where we feel that comfort level of us being able to say we know for sure that we're going to get what we want. So you have to jump out on a limb and take that risk and say, I'm going to fall backwards and I know someone's going to catch me if I follow the plan. And that's very humbling, and that requires a lot of self-awareness to recognize that. I think that's what we're saying to everybody is you have to have that self-awareness to recognize a lot of that mental stuff that's going on. You have to stop listening to those voices in your head. You have to stop listening to those things and say, Mel Robbins has a great thing on that, the 5-second rule. you basically take for yourself the idea, the thing that you know you want to do, and take action within 5 seconds. Don't let those voices change your mind. If you know you want to do it, it's like mind over matter. You have to just say, I know I have all the reasons why I shouldn't be doing this now. But I also know that I need to do this to follow the plan. I'm just going to take action and not going to overthink it. And I think that's super powerful when people are able to do that.